Okay, so welcome everyone to the session number two. So yesterday we discussed about how to build a RAG chatbot, basically, right? And we discussed all the steps like chunking, semantic search, using Pinecone. I hope you guys tried that particular code on your systems. In this session, we are going to study about deployment. So what do you mean by deployment? Can someone tell me?
What
uh,
can you hear me?
What is the meaning of deployment? Can someone tell me?
Whatever the
Well,
code we develop, we pushing into some common platform. It might be a production or int or something like that.
Yes. Basically the objective of a deployment is because, as I mentioned yesterday, in companies building the code is just the one part, right? The second part is putting that code into production so that whenever you make any change to the code, automatically it gets reflected in the website or whatever it is. It could be an application, it could be a website. Just think like that. For example, you use website, for example ChatGPT, or maybe some other company website. Now suddenly things get updated automatically and you see a new version of the website. So everything is works in a process called CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment. I have covered that in a separate session, that what the CI/CD pipeline looks like. In today's project, we are going to take this project, whatever we did yesterday, and take into production. Okay, whatever we can, because see, taking into production has a lot of steps. It cannot be completed in 2 hours completely, but we will study the major steps which are there. Okay, and nowadays production happen a lot on AWS or Azure cloud, but we are going to study about fast API. We're going to study about Dockers. We are going to see if we can deploy using GitHub Actions. I'll show you an example, right? And then we will take this code and convert that. So it's going to be a lot of concept today. A lot of things might be new. So how many of you know about fast API? Have you guys ever used it? Fast API, Docker, and GitHub Actions. How many of you know about this or have worked with this?
sir, fast API is basically used to create APIs for using Python.
Yes. So has anyone worked with Fast API ever? Or you guys are totally new to Fast API? It's fine if you're new, don't worry. So,
Yeah, it's completely new. All 3 hours are completely new.
okay, no
Shatrika.
problem. No
Yeah.
problem. See, I will try to, again, this is not a complete Fast API course, as I mentioned yesterday as well, but the major basic things which are required to tell how to write a Fast API code, that we will do. Then separately, I will launch some separate sessions of Fast API, Docker, GitHub, right? They require separately, but still on group I posted. I conducted session on Docker. I have conducted session on GitHub Actions. So I paste. It's on YouTube, available free of cost. So you can watch them as well to understand in more detail. But yeah, I'll bring more sessions in future if you want to refer that. Okay. So right now we will try to create a fast API. So let's first of all try to understand what is an API. Why do we even need it? Because can someone tell me? We have created a code yesterday. Why do I need an API? Can someone tell me? Like, why can't I simply take my Python code and work?
Basically, like when we move into like deployment, uh, whatever the code which we developed, which is in local, when we push it in a production, we want some transfer of communication is needed. That that will play that API play a major role in the communication point of view
Yeah.
interface.
Yeah. That's the right thing. So first of all, let's discuss that. So we are going to discuss about fast API. In general, we'll see what is API. Then we will come to fast API, because fast API is a type of API, but you can create using, there are multiple ways to create basically APIs. And then we will see how we can test it using Postman and all that. But that's for later. Uh, so let's do one thing. First of all, understand what is face. Let's understand what is API, right? So tell me this thing. How do humans communicate with each other? I think I asked this yesterday as well, right? This question. So let's say there is a human, right? There are two humans. They want to communicate with each other. How can they do? Yeah. So tell me, how can humans communicate? Right? They communicate through speaking, uh, language, right? So either you will speak something, you will write something, or maybe you will show some facial expression, or maybe anything you can do, right? So this is how humans communicate. But how do, for example, machines or maybe non-living objects, how will they communicate? Let's say you have a computer, right? And you have a, for example, let's say a computer is linked to a website, for example. Okay, your computer, you to your computer, you open a, let's say, you type a website. Okay, so what is that magic that you automatically, when you put it, that website loads? So this format is called basically API, right? This way how machines basically communicate. Any machine system communicate in form of APIs. Okay, so now think like this. Uh, when two people responds, when two people communicate, basically, what are the two things here? One person will say something, right? He will send a, he'll say something that, okay, can you tell me about, let's say, he asked this person, can you tell me something about, let's say, this place, right? Let's say he asked this question. So this person is technically sending a request to this person, actor. And now actor will take the user question, try to understand that what is happening, if he knows it, and then he will try to respond, right? So this is a response. Okay, so same logic needs to be applied in machines as well. That what API is, there are two objects. API connection is always happen between two bodies, right? So one body will send something. Okay, so that is called a so one you can call it requester. Basically, one will request something. Okay, one person will request something, and second person will respond. Okay, so these are the two major important things you need to know. We don't need to go in too much detail. So remember, there whenever there is an API call, there needs to be a request body and there needs to be a response body. Sorry, a response body. Is it clear? Anyone? Any doubt till this point? Any doubt in the how, what is the concept between so this is how APIs work. For you guys, knowing this much concept is more than enough, right? Because you don't like, just knowing that what is API is good, and how does it work, because you don't need to go in very much detail. I mean, that's not required. Okay, so just now for the timing, understand this is what an API is. Okay, so now question comes that why do I need an API in my project? Why am I talking about API? The thing is that whatever code you have created, it is present in your system, right? So whatever code I have created, let's say, that code is present in my repository, in my computer system. Okay, now let us say there are multiple people accessing different things. So for example, what happens that, let's say a person is accessing my website through a mobile. Okay, and let's say this is a mobile. Let's say someone is accessing my website through this, someone is accessing, let's say, through another laptop. Okay, so let's say someone is accessing same thing from a laptop. Now tell me, if they have to communicate, if these two have to communicate, now the code is present in my system only, if you notice, right? So if how will you communicate? You need to download the code in your local system. Yes or no? Because currently the code is present in this lab, in this computer only, right? This is where the code is present right now. Now, any application you cannot run on your phone till this code is downloaded to your system. Agreed? So now you'll say, okay, Satvik, I will do one thing. I will make a request and I will copy a version of this code into my. So let's say code 1, and this person also copied from there. Okay, these two copied the code. Now, tell me, will this connection be stable always? Like will these guys always have will these websites be running or what? Like, tell me. So first of all, let's before coding, let's tell me that this code, let's say they have made some connection to this computer. Okay, somehow they have made connection, they're accessing it. Now, is that a stable connection or not? Tell me. The code is present in the center computer and there are phone, and why is it not? Tell me the reason.
That depends upon the API.
There's nothing API. Point is that this is just a
actually,
local system.
whenever this system will get shut down, so that time
Yes.
code will be lost.
It does not matter. Even if you have a stable API, this thing will not work, right? Like, let's say you have opened, I have created a code on my computer. I send you a link. If I close my laptop, your link will stop working, because remember, eventually everything is running on an OS machine, and if that OS machine closes, nothing, none of the link will work. Is this concept clear to you guys? Okay, so what is the solution to this?
Pushing the code to the cloud.
Yes. So this is the solution to this, that what you do, instead of making these mobile access directly through your computer, first of all, you will link, basically you will put this into a cloud system. Okay, so now cloud could be anything. It could be a GitHub, it could be a AWS, it could be anything, wherever you want to put. We're not going into, so this is, let's say, cloud system. As I mentioned, it could be a GitHub, it could be AWS, could be Azure, GCP, whatever you can think of. Okay, so now what happens, that now what you will do, you'll set up a connect, you'll upload your code into cloud, correct? So the advantage of this is your code is always accessible to basically the computer, and whatever, any device can connect to this particular thing, right? So now you take any of the device, you can add as many device, they can simply connect to this particular cloud. So they are not dependent on your particular computer, right? They can simply connect with the cloud, and yeah, this is how it should be done. Okay, is this concept clear to you guys? This is the concept of basically deployment, that you take your code, you have to push that into a cloud. Okay, and from there you have to do something so that different devices can accept it. Clear? Any doubt, anyone?
Sir.
Okay, now tell me, what if two more topics here. First of all, tell me, if you have just pushed your code once, will that always be good? Like, will these people always have the updated version with that?
Sir, you will make changes in GitHub.
Yeah, so this needs to be connected constantly. Okay, this connection needs to be this connection basically needs to be live. Okay, you can say this needs to be a live connection. Okay, this needs to be live connection. So this process is called CI, continuous integration. Okay, where your code, you might have heard CI/CD pipeline. This process is called CI, that your code is continuously integrated to your cloud, and whenever there is an update, you basically it gets pushed to the cloud. Clear? We do this continuous integration through a lot of methods. The most commonly used method is Git, right? You might have heard this. So Git is a tool basically which helps you in version control. It helps you push your codes here. Okay. Now this is CI, just the integration part. Now comes the CD part, that is continuous delivery or deployment. So that is basically what happens, that your devices should be automatically, so whenever you make any changes, it should get updated automatically, and it should also directly send request to these devices. Just a second. Yeah, so basically continuous integration is the connection between your computer and your cloud, and continuous delivery is a connection between cloud and the respective systems. Is it clear to everyone? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the concept of understanding what is a CI/CD pipeline. What does it look like? Okay, so now we will understand the concept of APIs. So whatever connections you see are happening, these connections happen through API request, because again, this is a non-living object. 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 They cannot connect through by just speaking. So they need to have a stable connection, and they come in form of APIs. So this is why in this particular project, we need to set up not only in this project, for any deployment, you need, the first step is to create your API. Okay. Now, there are a lot of methods to create API. There's Flask, there is Fast API, right? So Fast API is the most, like I can say, it's a majorly used API framework nowadays in every company. So wherever you're working, you will see all your codes will be in Fast API. If not, companies are shifting to Fast API very rapidly. So previously things used to happen on Flask, but now most of the deployment, the APIs connection are happening through Fast API. So technically, what is Fast API? That it will, because the reason of using Fast API is that it is very easy to code. It is not a difficult part. I mean, the Flask and all that, they used to be difficult, but Fast API, I'll show you, it is very easy to understand, very easy to code. Just couple of concepts are there, right? That's it, nothing much. Okay, so let's move towards understanding the Fast API.
So how is the difference between the Fast API and the Flask?
It's just the framework, how you code, basically. That is the difference. Just like for example, you use for creating visualization, you use Matplotlib as well, you use other libraries as well, right? So one library gives you in an easy accessible format. One library's code infrastructure is a little complicated, right? And but one is little, it takes little more time. Fast API is the reason why it is called fast. It is Fast API because it is very fast. Like the API connections are very quick, so that's why it is called fast, right? So the major difference is, number one, that it is very easy to code and very easy to set up. Okay, and second, very easy to run, and as compared to Flask. So that is the reason. Is it clear?
Yes.
So now so this is a Fast API documentation. You can simply go to the website. You will find it on just Google Fast API. You will see that, right? So again, it's a Fast API itself is a very, very big domain. Like there are a lot of examples. It alone deserves a course of 25-30 hours, right? But we don't need to understand completely in that much. We will simply understand the major use cases which are there and which we need to do. Okay, you don't need to, there are proper roles in market like Fast API developer, Okay, so you don't need to become that. We just need to take the major things that we need, and we will simply use it. Okay, so again, this is for documentation. You can check, you can read it. So let's start building the. So first of all, if you remember, what all methods are there in an API request? How do yesterday I told you about 4 methods. If you do you remember? Get, put, post, delete, right? So these are the major methods. Get, put, post, and delete. These are the major methods. We are going to use get and post for our application. So we will not be going into put and delete, but they can also be used. Okay, so the objective of get is that, remember, whenever you keep in mind the difference between get and post is that when you use get, right, so you basically load a website simply. Okay, you are not filtering anything, you are not doing anything. When you post something, so you are basically giving up requesting something, and then you are getting something. Okay, so we'll see with this example. So let's do one thing. Simply let's understand through coding as well, so that you guys understand. Then I will come back to this diagram and explain it. So let's do one thing. Open open any of your Python project, right? Simply let me close this. So open your VS Code, and let's open a new file. So let's go to terminal, cd desktop, and mkdir fast API. Okay, mkdir API, cd API. Okay, we'll go into this folder. Okay, so what we need to do, first of all, you need to install 2 things. So add a requirements.txt. Okay, so this is requirement.txt. And what also we need to do, we need to create a virtual environment. So Python 3 mvenv, and let's say fast API. Source fast API.
So in terms of environment creation, what is the difference between we are using the Conda and the Python directly?
You can use anyone. I mean, it's just about the, I will say, the difference technically lies in how much complexity they can handle. And basically, in Conda, once you create, there are some configuration differences there. I mean, you won't see at this level, I would say, but main is creating, and when you carry those environments into some other places, then they create a difference. Like as such, there is no difference. Like just to create environment, there is no difference between them. It's just the backend of which contains more configuration. That is the difference. So Conda contains more configuration. Conda is more like is a better way to create environment. But for smaller, like for these projects, this method is also fine. Okay, it's just about the number of configuration that it has in the backend. So that's the difference. Like there are a lot of methods, there is Conda, there is venv, then there is another method we use what is that, TOML method we use. Okay, and there is a couple of more methods are there, I forgot, but I mostly use venv, right? Or Conda I use sometimes. So you can choose anyone as per your need. Just working on these projects, it won't make any difference. Okay, so now let's come to creating this. So what you have to do, you have to, in the requirement txt, to write down fast API. Okay, and you have to also write down uvcon. So fast API and uvcon, these are the 2 things which work parallelly. So basically, the API creation, fast API does the API creation, and uvcon is a front end through which you can see those APIs. So these two run parallelly. Okay, so run this command pip install fast our requirements.txt. Okay, so you will see your fast API and 𝗵𝗏 have been installed. Now,
So Satvik,
yeah,
so if you're not using so many libraries, only 5 libraries we are using. So pip install one gap followed by 2. We figure all
yeah,
5 libraries. That is also will work out, right?
that will also work. Yeah,
Okay.
just write one after one. Okay. Now, first of all, see what we are exactly going to do with the APIs. Remember, any Python program is a function, right? If you understand, Python programs are basically functions, okay? Which you do, you call functions, you execute them. What is the, tell me what is the property of a function? What does a function do? What does a Python function do? Tell me, or any function do?
If we take, for example, if you are doing some operations and creating a function called something ds, if we
Okay.
calling, if that operation we are calling after 1000 lines, we no need to perform the same operation. If
No,
we
no.
import ds means the
Let's
same
not
operation will come.
let's not go that complicated. Simple thing that function does, it takes an input, it gives an output. Okay.
Okay.
So basically what it does is that you will give it something. So you will give it a text, right? So what happens? Function takes how do you write a function in Python? Simple. You go here. Let's say, let me write down this main.py. Okay. What do? You write down a function def. Let's say you write down a function add. Okay. And then you will give parameters, right? A comma B. And then you will say return, let's say a plus b. This is what you're doing in a function, correct? Right? This is taking 2 parameters and it is returning a number. So this is right now happening through a code. Now what we have to do, we have to, so what I mean by converting a code to an API, that remember, you cannot take your code everywhere. So think like this, that you are creating a link basically. Okay. You're creating a link which will take an input. Okay. And it will give an output. That's what you're doing. Okay. So API is what basically, so this function, whatever we are creating, we will keep it inside. So what I was saying, let's say this is your function. Okay. So what does your function do? It takes an input and gives an output. When you create an API around a function, what do? You basically, yeah. So let's say this is an API. Okay. The back part is API. This bigger rectangle is an API. So let me call it here. So let's say this is an API. Now what is happening? Let us say you are asking a question here, okay, or anything you're asking. API, what is going to do? It is going to take that question, pass it to that function, get the output of the function, and return the answer. Is it clear? So now why we need an API? Because different systems cannot talk through function, because some programs can be Python, some programs can be Java, some programs can be HTML, right? So there are different types of programs. You want to create a single type. So that is why you convert into an API, which API is nothing. It is just a URL which you create. Okay. So whenever you hit this URL, that URL is going to hit that function. That function is going to take the parameters, run the function, respond it, and give the answer. Okay. Is this flow clear to you guys? So it is no magic science, no like some rocket science. The only thing is happening that what a function, what an API does, you wrap a function inside an API. Okay. And then this is called decorator. You would have heard, again, I'll speak about it, but this question will hit the API. API will move it to the function. Function will return it to API. API then will pass the answer. So this is what we need to do in our code. Okay. Anyone, any doubt? Is it clear, guys, or it is a little bit confusing? Okay. So let's try to basically. Okay, perfect. Okay. So how to now run this basically? Now what we are going to do? We are going to I'll show you simple function, how to create it, right, and how to wrap it inside a basically how can you wrap it inside a Python API. Now for this you need to know the concept of decorators in Python, and I'm not sure if you guys know, but decorators right now, just think like that. They are a method in Python through which you create a wrapper around a function. Okay. So let's do one thing. What I'm going to do is simply from fast API import fast API. Okay, I have imported this. Now you need to create a variable, instantiate this class. We'll say app is equal to fast API. You can name it anything, it's up to you. Okay. Now what is going to happen? So this is your step. So this is your step one. Let's say step one, create fast API instance. Okay. Now step two. Remember that I told you need to create a wrapper around your function. Okay. So for that we use a decorator. Okay. So this is called create a wrapper, or you can also call it route. Basically, it means that user question will route through this particular decorator. Decorator, all it means that the meaning of decorator is you create some package around function so that you can directly talk to that. Okay. So how to create a decorator? Again, that is let me tell you the method if you guys don't know. So you use this command, right? You write down at, okay, and again, this is a Python thing. This is not fast API. This is a Python thing. Just like functions are there in Python, similarly decorators are there in Python. Okay. So dot app. Okay. Now remember I told you there are basically multiple methods to create get, post, delete. So you can choose get, post, you can use patch, you can use delete, whatever. So right now I just want to create a get API. Okay. Okay. Now get, after that you need to provide the path of the URL, that where this will be accessible. Now by default, because I'm creating on my system, this will have a by default local path. Okay. So all I need to create is simply this. So what does it mean? That whatever local path fast API has a by default, I will show you path, right? It will open with that. So this API will open at the by default path that fast API has, right? So now so this is the wrapper that we need to create. So what is this? This is, we are saying that we are creating a wrapper dot get method. Now whatever function we write down is this will be wrapped around this URL. Okay. First, just see me what I'm doing. Okay. After that, we will discuss. So what will you do? You'll write down a function. I'll write down a very basic function. I'll say def. Okay. Let's say read. Okay. Let's say this function does not do anything on any major thing. It simply returns a JSON file. For example, not even JSON file. It simply returns message. Welcome to fast API. Okay, that's it. This is your fast API created. The first API is created for your project. That's all you needed to do, nothing else. So what is there? That, understand, this is a function that you created, right? Now whenever you will like run this URL, basically you'll paste this URL, what will happen? This function will run in the backend. Now what is this function returning? This function is returning this particular path. Now think like this function is not taking anything input, so does not matter what you provide in, because when you use get method, you don't need to provide any parameter, because get will simply return the website. So it will return you this particular text. Okay, so let's see how does it work. Now this is simply, now what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to run the code. I'll say Python, you can run from top as well, Python 3 main.py. Okay, so this means my code is created, but still I cannot see the front end because API is created at the back end. But to see that, I need to remember I installed a library called 𝗘𝗵𝘁𝗀. So 𝗘𝗵𝘁𝗀 is the front end which helps you see. So there is a command that you need to write down. I will tell you, don't worry. It's 𝗘𝗵𝘁. Okay. After that, there are two things you need to write. First of all, the file, which file you want to run. So I want to run this main file, main. Inside this main file, what is the instance of Fast API? What is the variable name? It is app. You could have made it MOB as well. Whatever name you created, you just need to pass it here. Okay. And hyphen, you need to give reload. So what does this reload do? That if you make any changes to the code, it automatically gets updated to the website API. Okay, that's it. So this is a command which you will need to run. Okay, let's first see what comes, and then like you can also try on your systems. So if you see, this is the by default path that Fast API takes. 127 point, like it is the by default it takes. Okay, you can change it as well, but by default on your local systems it takes this. Now what I will do, I'll click on this. So once you click on this, you will see that you have you got this particular message, right? So this is the website link. It is returning this particular message. Is it clear to you guys? Any doubt, anyone? See, it was very easy to create. It hardly took me how many lines of code. So simply what you have to do, you have, whatever functions you have to create a decorator around them. Okay, instantiate with a Fast API and call it like this, and that will be your Fast API. Okay. So before I move ahead, yeah.
Sir, in that app.get, inside the get, there is a slash, right, sir?
Yes.
What does it mean, sir?
Slash means your home directory, your this URL. You do this or do this, it remains same, right?
Yeah, sir.
That's what it means. It means this is the website. So slash means this is the website. Okay. So this is the by default, and you just added that you are mentioning the default website. Okay. Now this is, remember, this is running on a local system. If you give this link to anyone, it will not work. Okay. So clear, everyone? Is there, if you have any doubt, let me know. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create, now we are going to do, now there is another method here. Whatever URL you create through Fast API, if you just do docs after it, right, it will give you a whole documentation to see how that API works. Okay. So you simply click on whatever API you have, you do docs, and you will get a front end like this. Okay. What is this front end? This front end is basically to show in your code how many APIs are there at the given link. How many APIs are there? If you know how, like, let's take any website, right? They have multiple links. For links, what I mean to say that there will be, let's take a company, for example. Let's say there's a company, google.com. Okay. Google.com. This is their base website. Okay. There will also be a website called as google.com/products. Okay. There will be another website named as google.com. Instead of products, it will be, let's say, travel. Right. So if you see this, what is happening? Your base website is same everywhere. It is just the different parameters. These are called query parameters basically. Again, let's not go into that depth, but these names are just varying, right? So what is happening here, that with every word added, there is a different API call. There's a different API call for this. There's a different API call for this. There's a different API call, although the base website of all remains same. So this is what this documentation for any website contains, that uh, whatever APIs are present in the base website, you will see everything here. Okay, I'll show you that when we create more APIs, they will. So you can simply click here. Okay, and okay, let's do one thing. Let's create another API. Okay, now this was a get API. So now what we will do, we'll create a post API. We'll say app.post. Okay, sum. Okay, so whenever you call this, now what you want to do, you want to sum two numbers. So we'll say def sum. Okay, so let's say I write on a function a equal to 2, b equal to 3, return a plus b. Okay, now I don't need to change anything. The code will automatically update the fast API, because remember I wrote that command reload. So it will automatically update the fast API documentation. Now once you reload, you will see there is a post API as well. Now if you go down, if you simply click on try it out, it will show you that you can basically give it response, and this is the number that you will get as an answer. Okay, so this is the request URL. Okay, you will simply go here, run here, and yeah. Okay, so this is how it is done. You can do it curl as well if you want, but anyway, let's not go into curl and all that. But this is how this fast API is created. Okay, is it clear to you guys? Flask API is different, fast API is different. That's what I'm telling you. Fast API is a different framework. Fast API is a different framework. Fast API has a lot of other complexities. Flask has different complexities. Fast API is a little bit simple to do. That's the only difference. So they are different frameworks. Okay, anyone any doubt? Can you guys try this on your system? Can you please try this fast API code, whatever I did on your system? I'll send you the commands. Try it and let me know. Then we will move to converting our main application code to API. Okay, so just take 5 more minutes, and so that I can move, because we have to cover Docker as well, right? So once you run the code, you need to run this command. Okay, let me run in terminal. This is the command you need to run after you have run the code. Okay, and then you need to go and check that website. So try. I'm giving you 5 minutes. Please try on your systems.
Sir, can you show the code? Sir, sir,
Yeah, tell me.
sir, I ran the get method, sir, and I got that hello world. After I start to write the post method, should I rerun the UV console?
No, just if you have used the reload, you don't need to run UVcon. It will automatically show. Have you guys done this? Shall I move to the next part? Just one part is pending in this fast API. Then we'll move to our code. Okay. So now, now what we have to do, right? We created. If you see this URL is, tell me, is this URL static or dynamic? This one and this one. Tell me, are these two? Which URL is static? Which is dynamic? Or both are static or both are dynamic? And first, tell me, what do you understand? What do I mean by static and dynamic? Static means I'm not changing anything, right? I'm simply pasting the same URL. Okay. URL means basically, let's say when you do URL, right? There are a lot of question numbers you see, right, in the URLs. So these both are static. Simply you're passing the variable. It will always return this. Now in the post, we don't want to make it static. In the post, we want to make the websites dynamic. So what needs to happen, that I need to provide two numbers and return their sum. Okay, so I need to create an API where I pass two numbers and where I return their sum. Okay, so here we will need a concept of pydantic, because that we will use as well, and pydantic is very important library. So from pydantic, I will say from pydantic import, I'll say, I think this is base model. Base model. Yeah. So what is pydantic? First of all, let me tell you. Pydantic is a library to basically validate the format of your data. Okay. So basically what it means, that let us say you have created a so what I mean to say, let's say you've created a function def, okay, sum. Now in sum, let's say you're passing a and b. A and B need to be numbers, correct? What if someone calls this function and says sum of a 2 comma, let's say ABC? It should return an error, right? It should tell you that no, this is not the right way. It accepts the number in a certain format, and you need to provide a numerical format only. So that is what Pydantic does. It validates that whatever you have. So the steps in Pydantic is that, first of all, step 1, define your format. Okay, define your data format. Okay. Second, attach to the code. So basically it means that whenever your things get complex, when you have different variables coming here and there, you need to validate their format. So their Pydantic is used. So here we are going to use Pydantic. So first of all, what I need to do, instead of creating this sum directly here, I will have to create a class, okay, in Python, and where I will mention, let's say, numbers. And this numbers needs to be a basically it needs to inference from base model. Again, this is a topic of Python, so I'm not going in deep, but this numbers class is inheriting from base model, which we have. So what does it mean technically? Let's go very basic, that you are defining the format of the numbers. Okay, so you're creating a own format. So you're saying that number 1, which let's say num1, whichever you are going to say, it needs to be float. Okay, or you can say it to be int. Okay, num2, whatever you are going to pass, it needs to also be int. Okay, so now what is going to happen whenever you're going to create that method? So now let's create that app at app.post. Okay, what we created, and we'll do this thing /add. Okay, so now what you need to do, you need to basically write down a function def. Okay, let's say call add numbers, and then you need to pass in this function accept 2 variables. Let's say it accept number1. Okay, so, or you can say it accept numbers. So you simply say numbers. These numbers need to be of which type? These numbers need to be of this class numbers type. Okay, so that the numbers are validated. So that's what you have done, that whatever number you are going to pass, it needs to be of belonging to this class, which says that it needs to be an int. Okay, now what you will do, you will say result equal to, okay, so numbers dot n1, okay, plus whatever your numbers dot n1 plus this variable is numbers dot num2, return. So you will say, for example, sum, that's the result variable that you have created. Okay, is it clear?
Sir,
Yep.
so like we can say, like we are creating a separate class using that Pydantic, and
Yeah.
we are inheriting the property of it in our wrappers, right?
Yes. Okay, so what you can there's another method, right? One method is creating through this method. You can use Pydantic to validate and all that. Other is basic method as well. Okay, if you, let's say, don't want to go to the Pydantic way, what you do, you will simply do remove this class. Okay, but first, is this method clear to everyone? Pydantic method, we will use this in our project. Okay, so let's do one thing. Now let's remove the Pydantic. Let's do a simple number. What I'm going to do, let's say this is this num1. So let's say this. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's call there's a number inside. Okay, and nums which is a int. Okay, so this nums1, this variable needs to be of class numbers, and we also pass the second number, let's say num2, which needs to be of the class numbers. Okay, and what will we do in the result? We will simply sum num1 plus num. Okay, return result. We can do this way as well. So what is happening? We are validating, we are creating a class, and we are saying that you should always refer to that class. Okay, now let's do one thing. Let's go to the API and test it out. Okay, so this is the API. Let's open it. Okay, if you see, a request body is required here. Okay, so because in post you need to pass something, that is the objective of post. So what will you do? You'll click on try out. Okay, so this is the body it has created. Let's say you enter number 1 as a 2, number this as 4. Okay, and you simply execute it. There is some error. Just a second. Did I simply created? Wait a second. Let me check the code once again. Num2 numbers 2. Let's do one thing. Let's simply call them int. Okay, so return num1 plus num2. Done. Let's update this. So num1 is required, num2 is required. Okay, and I need to pass it as a try it out. Okay, so I do 2, I do 4. Yeah, now I got it. Basically, I didn't define it properly there. So if you see, this becomes the URL. This becomes the URL. If you see, is it clear to you? So these are the two methods you need to know, where you basically pass a parameter and you get something. Okay. So we basically saw two methods. One was get, you're simply generating something, and second was post, where you are passing some parameter and you are getting something. Clear, guys? Anyone, any doubt? Tell me, please. I mean, if it is not, you're not able to understand, tell me, please.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, like explain that post method and how to check again. So like when we post it, how we should check the output.
You have created a post. What have you done? You have created two functions. Num1, which takes this, num2, which should be an integer, and you will return this, right? Now, when you go to the fast API,
This is this link. How to go to this link?
this
Okay,
link
docs.
come from here, na? From here, you will get it. This link you will get from this terminal. It will show you. When you run for the first time, it will show you it is hosted at this UVCon.
Yes, and slash docs we should do.
Slash docs to view it. And in the slash doc, go to the post, click try out, and click the two numbers. Let's say 10, let's do 20. Okay, after that, click execute. So you will see the result 30.
Fine, sir. Fine.
Okay, and now if I do this number, let's say ABC, it will give me error. Please correct the following validation errors and try it.
Validate into int, right?
Yeah. Okay. So this will become, you would have seen websites which have URL something like this, right? So
Yes.
these are called dynamic websites. Basically, the base website is this, and these are the dynamic pages. So what are the, on the base website, you are making different API calls. So this is what it is. Okay, clear everyone? Yeah, I will copy. So I pasted the code there. So now let's move towards the our project which we did yesterday. Okay, now again, to write down, so first of all, let me explain you conceptually code. I have created it, right? I will walk you through the code, because writing down all the code, it will take me a lot of time in front of you. So it might take like 2 hours just for fast API. So I'm not going into that. Right, I'll explain you step by step. Basically this code remains same, whatever we did yesterday. It's just that how do you integrate fast API with it. If you see what is happening right now, simply you're creating, you have functions created, you're simply routing them at different places, right? So these routes we will put into our our code which we did yesterday. Okay, now let's try to understand our project which we are doing in the RAG. What is happening in our RAG project? It's a chatbot, right? So what will happen in that? Let's say this is your application. So how is it working? I mean, what is the architecture of this? A user question comes, right? What do you do after this? Once a user question comes, what do we do in our chatbot?
So like you are asking internally what is happening, like it is combining into a embedding and just and basic.
No, let's say embedding and all that you have already created. Now, whenever a user question comes, what will happen?
The chatbot reacts to it and give the answer.
You have a basically what you have. Let's say you have a vector database already present where you have all the embedding stored, right? So let's say this is the vector database that you already have. Okay. Now what will happen? Whenever you give a question, chatbot will convert it into an, what is happening in the backend, guys?
It convert into embeddings.
So hey guys, please speak fast. Now, I mean, we discussed so much yesterday. Question embedding. First of all, question embedding will be created.
Yeah.
After that, what will happen?
Okay, this will keep it aside. So what, based upon the question embedding, this LLM will search the respective chunked file from the knowledge database.
Yeah. So you will basically retrieve top K from here, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
After you retrieve top K, what will you do?
Yeah, it will be aside. So then it will move to the respective LLMs, and accordingly it will go use the answer to the user.
So what you're doing, you're using pass question and context to LLM, right?
Yeah.
So whenever a user question comes, you convert into question embedding, right? You retrieve top K, you pass the question to LLM, and then what you do? You answer the question. LLM answers the question, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now stick on this. This is the R. Now think like this from a bigger level. So what is happening here? If you notice, let's say create a wrap, a big wrapper around it. Okay. So let's say this is an API wrapper which I created. So what is happening with this API? You're sending a question to this API, correct? Yes or no?
Correct. Yes.
You will send a question to this API. API will run a function which will do all of these steps, right? It will first convert to question embedding, then it will retrieve top K, then it will pass question to LLM, something like that will happen, right? And then it will answer. So this is a bigger this is an API or bigger function that I've created. So what we need to do, we need to refactor our code. Everything remains same. We have done everything in our code. What we need to do simply, we need to take the user question. We need to create a wrap, basically route. So tell me which kind of API request will it be? It is taking a question, returning an answer.
A post.
It will be post. So we'll create an API with post format so that so remember in the, like here, what we were doing, we were passing questions, right? Instead of number, we'll pass the question and it will return us the answer. That's an API that we need to create. All good, everyone? Is the concept clear before I move to the code? Okay, so let's do one thing. I have created the code already, right? I will show you step by step. I'll guide. The code is exactly same, the backend code that we did yesterday. I have just added API around it. Okay. So let me open it. So this was our code yesterday, if you remember, right? We did we took a URL, we scraped it, and we chunked it, like a lot of things we did. This all thing we completed yesterday. Correct?
Yes.
So now what we are going to do, we are going to convert all this into an API. Okay. So let's try to understand this. Our API will accept a user question and it will tell you the answer. Okay. So these are the imports. These are the load.env file. This is the app equal to fast API that we are doing, and I've given my chatbot a title. Okay, AI chatbot at the backend. I've given it a description that it retrieve. Again, it's up to you. You can give it as per your need. Okay, so I'm just instantiating a fast API right now. Okay, I have not created an API yet. I'm just instantiating a fast API. So these all are like where I've created the LLM models and everything, right? I don't need to like see them. So I have just simply created them. Now comes the first part. Remember, whenever two systems communicate, there needs to be a request body and there needs to be a response body. Okay, whenever two things connect in form of an API, I told you always, right, that there needs to be. So let's say this is a body 1. Okay, this is body 2. So this body 1 will request something. You will give the question. So you need to request something in a format, right? It cannot be in a random format. So you need to give it a format. So this is called a request format. So request format, I am defining request format. Okay. So that request format we are defining through Pydantic. That user question needs to have these two things. One is the question and one is the top K value. This value can change. By default, I have kept it 3, but it can be changed by user. Okay. So this is my request body where there's a variable question and there is a top 3 selection, which I'm going to do. Okay. Are you clear with this point? Till this point, anyone any doubt? The code and all that is remain same. Just I'm telling you how I'm integrating the fast API part. Okay. Please review it and let me know if you have any doubt. what you can do is simply go to GitHub. Same repo I've shared it yesterday, right? Open it, enterprise AI chatbot. Okay, you will see this main.py. Open this main.py, and I have updated it here. Just read till here, till this point. Read and let me know if you are clear with this. Why are so? This is a request model. Basically, you're requesting in a certain format.
Sir, can you post a repo link again in the chat, sir?
Sorry?
Can you post a repo link again in the chat, sir?
In that, which PY file I want to check, Satvik?
Main.py.
In main.py, I can see only the yesterday's code.
No, we are opening the wrong library then. Main.py I have opened in front of you. Open this link that I have given in the chat box. Is everyone able to understand till this part? See, everything is same. The code is exactly same what we did yesterday. We are just refactoring with just code we are putting here and there. Okay, and how we are doing? We are doing on this logic. That will take a user question. So we are defining the format in which we will take user question. After that, our code will contain these steps, and after that we will define a response format. And now in what way you want to respond. Okay. So how do you define a response format in a Python function? Simply whatever your return body is, you just need to define in that. Okay. Shall I move ahead? Because no one replies. I just don't know if you understand, if you don't understand what I mean. Please, if you have 16 people are on the call, you should ask out or you should give a heads up. That's the basic understanding.
Sir, on the first part, just we are validating the question, and top is basically
I just said read till here. Don't read after that. Just read till here. Yes, we are just validating the question. That user question. Remember in the same example I told you when we created the sum of two numbers, we created
yes, yes, I can understand.
It's the exact same thing. We are simply giving a format of user question. That user question always need to, because in APIs you cannot pass random numbers randomly. You need to give in a certain format, and that format you need to create. That is called a request model. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now come to the next part. After that, what we have simply have to do this. We'll follow this architecture what we created here. We have to first of all take the question, convert to embedding, retrieve top K, and pass the question to LLM. Okay. So see here what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a post. Okay. In the post function, I need to pass the request, which is of the class query request, which I created here. Okay. After that, everything remains same. First, I'm embedding the user query. Second, I'm querying the pinecone. The top K, which I have used here, I'm passing it as a variable here. so that it becomes dynamic. Earlier I was, if you remember yesterday's code in the backend.py, we were simply doing, let me show. LLM chatbot creation. Yeah, we were using passing the one statically, right? Now we are not passing the one statically. We are passing it in form of a variable. Request, that is a question, dot means, because there are multiple things in request, right? So dot top k, I want top k. So this value will be automatically passed here. Okay. Now, if what I've done, if there is no match, if there is no relevant chunk, I will simply reply no chunks found. That the question is irrelevant, no chunk found. Okay. And if you have found the chunk, same step that we did yesterday. You join those chunks in a text format. Okay. After that, you have to create a prompt template. You are same thing we did yesterday, right? Exact same thing. You create a chain and all that we did yesterday. In the question, you pass the question dynamically. Now things change here. Just that you have you create a function return. You return three things. You return question, you return answer, whatever answer you get from LLM here, and you return the context use, because we will need to see that for every question what context are we retrieving. Okay, so this is the response body. So if you see, the code is entirely same. The only change we have done is we have created a wrapper around it, and we have put everything in a single function. Okay, and this function is taking a user question in this format. Okay, and is returning answer in this JSON format. Okay, so now please read the code once again. Let me know if you guys understand. If you have revised yesterday's class, remaining code you will not have problem in. Today's code I have already explained that it's just a fast API that we have created around the function. Take a couple of minutes and read the whole code and explain me. Mainly you need to focus on this part and the return part, because the middle part we have already done yesterday. So just focus on the start and the end part, and please confirm me if you understand.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, when we did yesterday, we just passed the variables in a function directly. Now when we validate the question and top k as query quest class, right, sir?
Yes.
When we are passing the query quest inside the query chatbot, and request is a variable which holds the function query quest.
Yes. Yes.
And using that request, we are request that question is like asking the user's question and converting it as a embedding, right?
User's question will contain two parameters, question and top k. Okay, so in embed query I need to pass the question, so I'm saying request.question. In querying part, getting top k, I need top k, so I will say user request variable dot top k.
So like when we use request for calling these variables, so the validation is proper.
Yes, that's why we, because in API, if your point is, you will get to know what is the error. You will simply not see dot error, like, right? So you'll get to know what is the error so that you can fix it. That format is not correct or whatever. Is everyone good with the code? Let me know, please. Shall I move ahead? Guys, don't watch just like a movie, please. I'm telling again and again. If you don't understand, please ask.
Sir,
Yes.
so can you explain context where it is coming from the prompt template and finally
This
chain
did you revise the yesterday's class?
Yeah, so
So this is from yesterday's class.
yes. Context is basically the information we are giving.
You're
out there.
getting result. You're doing top K, or you're putting into a result variable, and then you are adding them in a single string here
Yes,
and
sir,
putting
sir.
into
We are
context.
combining it.
Yes. Is everyone good with it? I'm giving you a couple of more minutes. Please read through the code. Just focus on the right now. Just focus on the start part and the end part. That how this response is coming. There are two variables. How they are going in the code, and what response we are getting. Now this becomes an automated code, because dynamic code basically you can simply vary the question and the top K, and you will see different answers. I know this is new for many people, but like you need to understand it. So because we have to cover Docker as well, otherwise I would have written everything from scratch in the class only. But yeah, I mean, I think you guys understand. Try this on your own as well. But main thing is you should understand the code, right, and write on your own later on.
This all key you kept it in a .env file, right?
Which key?
All API keys.
Yeah, they are in a .env file. I have placed everything in a .env file here.
Yes, it's good to go.
Good to go, right? So let's move ahead. Okay. Now we have created this code. Now what I need to do, simply run the API. So let's go to this code main.py. Okay. So I will do Python 3 main.py. Okay. Sorry, it will not. Yeah. Now I have to run the command uvcon sorry, main this app reload. Okay. So now my API is running on this link. Let's go there. So right now I'm not returning any text, so that's why you will see this. Simply go to docs. Okay. So you have this particular query chatbot API, which is a post API. Let's see this. So when I click on this, it says there's a request body which is required, and request as it gives you an example how to post it. The schema it provides that a question needs to be of string and top K value by default is 3. Now, if you simply want to, now here are different type of response. If your API runs successfully, you will see code 200, right? And you will see a response. If your validation error, you will see something like this. So there are a lot of things, but so to try this API, simply click on try it out. Okay. And here, change. Let's say I want top 1 only. And string, let's put the question that what is the price of the product? Okay. Let's put the question, what is the price of the product? This is not a chatbot, right? This is just an API. This is just the front end to see your API. We still have to create the chatbot, the front end. Okay. So now once you execute it, so see, you have got the answer. This is your response body, 51.77, right? It is giving the answer in this format, and it was also giving the context used, this one. Okay. So this is the URL, and This is the question, you provided the question, and this API is giving you the response in this particular format that you created the question. So remember, all these API, they work in JSON format only. So you need to get used to writing codes in JSON format. Okay. So let's try to do one thing. Let's try to change something on our code in the backend. Let's, in the LLM part, I will do one thing. I will say you're a helpful assistant. Use only the, okay, provide detailed answer with context, with detailed answer with some commentary. Okay. So I updated my code. So it will automatically be updated to API. Now let's do one thing. Let's run the same thing. Now, when I was running what is the price of the product, I was getting simple standard reply 51.77. Okay. Now what will I do? I will re-execute it and see, because I've made a change to prompt. Does my output change a little bit? Let's see. And I don't know if it will change because it's LLM. It's not in my hand. So let's see. It is executing, and see, now the answer has changed a little. Okay. The price of the product is this, blah, 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 whatever commentary it has given. Okay. So how is it coming? It is coming from our prompt. So basically our API is working now. Whatever change I do, it is getting executed in my code, and I am able to see the result. Clear, everyone?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, I just created a main.py file and I copied the code from the GitHub and pasted, and I ran it Python main.py. It shows like HTTP response, like errors. It is coming errors because anything
First error will come, just main.py will not work.
like there are so many things which is combined with that code, right, sir?
Yes.
Other files.
Yes. Read the code. Main.py is, where is it running? It needs webscrape.py to.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, sir. Webscrape.py. Yesterday we done a code, right, sir? In that same file, I created
Not in the same file. Create a new file, run on that. Then it will
new
work.
file. With that webscrape file, I created a new main.py in the folder, that enterprise rag. I kept a name, and I run the code. There is error coming, but all the webscrape.py, it is being imported inside, I think, sir.
What is the error that you are getting?
Sir, can you show that from statements alone, sir? Everything is here. I am getting an error like 1 second.
Have you put the API in .env file?
Yeah, sir.
Just copy the whole code. It should work. This main.py and webscrape.py are the only files required.
1 second. Again, I will try. Sir, did he imported the webscrap py inside the main.py?
No, I have not imported because I have written everything. This webscape.py is not required right now. Simply main.py should work. You should be using Pinecone API key as well updated. Are you using the Pinecone API key? Guys, others, please try on a system. Let me know. Run this main.py file on its own with your, and first of all, you need to have this data in your Pinecone. Have you created the data in your Pinecone? Otherwise, it will not run.
You mean to tell index?
Yeah, I mean, from where it is fetching from vector database. You need to set up that vector database, which we did yesterday. Otherwise, it will not give you result. This is a single code, but it is dependent on that vector database. If that result is not coming, it will not be able to generate the answer for you.
So like yesterday we have written one code which is of backend .py. Okay, when I go to Pinecone website, I can see one index. I mean, one index. Okay, yeah, there will be only one index. If you're running right now the main.py, the updated version will be as in the time base. We can see which is the latest one.
Yeah, the main.py is the updated one. Simply copy that in the index, change the name, because whatever name is there, put that. Like if you guys are just copying, this name is in my folder. You need to change this. Then only it will work.
So I can stick to the same backend.py for name index name.
Stick to same backend.py, but you need to add these APIs and all that, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Are you guys able to execute this on your own?
Sir, hour ago, I ran to the frontend.py, sir, and the details have been stored.
Why are you running frontend.py?
I just tried it, sir.
I ask you? You just focus on main.py. I didn't ask you to run frontend.py. It does not has any API. Why will you run it?
But it's stored in the vector DB, sir, in Pinecone. But the information got stored in chunks in vector DB.
What error are you getting in main.py? Tell me. Everyone download main.py in your folder. Change the Pinecone API key put in your .env file. Second, change this index name as per your. Make sure your index has the chunks which we created yesterday. Okay, and then run the model. It should run. Number 1, update Pinecone API key. Number 2, after Pinecone API key, what do you need to do? You need to update the index name. Third is run main.py. So copy the main.py, create somewhere and run it. Now then let me know if it works. We don't need to cover 100 of things. We might not, let's not go into GitHub action and all that. But everyone please complete this, because rather than completing 100 of things, let's understand 2 things properly. Okay. So first of all, please run this part. And let me know what you are getting. If you're getting error, then also let me know. We will debug what is the problem.
Sir?
Yes.
After changing the RAG chatbot name to RAG which my old vector DB was named, Python main.py got run, sir. Next, what should I enter? That 𝗘𝗏𝗁, right?
Yeah, next you should run the 𝗘𝗏𝗁 command. API keys need to be yours. They cannot be mine, right? You need to go to OpenAI website, get it. You need to go to Pinecone and then get it. Just I know OpenAI is costs money, but for just one couple of runs, it will not cost you more than 5-10 rupees. So just test it out once. I mean, if you don't want to, you can just skip it. Later on, you can maybe try something else. Running one call will not cost you anything. What about others? Are you guys able to run it or not? I mean, tell me at least yes or no.
Sir, when I run the uvcon command, it shows like module not found error, no module named Pinecone.
Have you installed requirements.txt?
Yes, sir, I installed.
Forgetting everything I told yesterday, you need to install. This is a project. All your requirement.txt should be installed. Then only it will work, no?
Sir, yesterday itself I installed everything.
It will go check.
will do it
Check is your virtual environment activated. If it is not activated, you need to activate it. Then check it. Or create a new virtual environment. Run inside that. Others, are you guys not trying or what?
Satvik, I am getting some the Python environment, virtual environment error. I will try it later on. If not, if anything problem, I will let you know via WhatsApp or something like that. I will get help from you.
Sure. Is anyone trying or shall I move ahead? Let's move to the Dockers then.
I'm trying.
Okay. I'm moving ahead, right? Because we don't cover the concept. You can try and let me know. So this was, I hope you guys understood the front end part, the back end part, right? Now, similarly, if you see this API is created. Now, what do we see that this API is created, right? Now we need to pass this. Now this is just the back end. What you need to do in the front end part, again, you don't need to know front end. I'm just explaining you the code. Okay. So in the front end part, what will happen that all this part will be there. You just simply need earlier. If you remember yesterday's front end, let's go to yesterday's front end.py. What was happening? I had written a code where we are writing all the front end and everything. Then I'm running this part, scraping the data, running the backend, doing web scraping, embedding, and all that. Do I need to do all this now? Or I can simply call my API?
API calling is sufficient.
API calling. So what will I do in my front end now? Updated front end. Instead of doing all that, my code will remain front end. I will simply make a API call to my local host, this one. Okay. When you move to this production, then you need to change this URL. Again, this will only run in your personal computer. It will not run in some other system. Okay. So all those steps are simple now API, because earlier you were doing in Python functions. Now you are combined everything. This API will take a question and it will return you the answer. Okay. So all you need to do now is run a new terminal. Keep this active. Don't close it. Okay. Don't. If I close it, my API will get. Remember, my API is connected to my local computer. If I close this, my API will get disconnected. So what I need to do to run this front end in my local system, I'll go to new terminal. Okay. I'll run. So let's go to this source rag /bin/activate. Okay, I will run this file python 3 app.py. Okay, now I will get this Streamlit application. This is it. The front end will remain same what we were getting, but earlier it was not an API code. Earlier it was simply a code. Now we have created in the backend an API. Okay, so let's ask the same question. How many products and they're in the stock? So now it is giving me the answer 22. But see, if I close now, if I go to my code and I close this API now, let's say I close this, okay, my front end will stop answering. Why? Because my front end was linked to an API now. It was not running simply on code. So now what will happen? Let's say ask the question again. I will get an error that the connection, I could not found something. Okay. So this is how the project you will create on your using the Fast API. This is the objective of Fast API. All clear? Now I'll move to Dockers and then we will close it, right? Docker, and then we'll push the code to GitHub. So all good, everyone, so far? Simply we took yesterday's code, converted to API, then in the front end we called that API and everything remains same. Okay. Now let's move to the Dockers. Okay. How many of you know what is Docker? The second part of CI/CD. How many of you know what is a Docker? Do you guys want a break of 10 minutes? I need like 30-40 minutes more. So if you guys want, we can have a break of 10 minutes, then we can resume. No response means no break. Okay, let's continue then. Yeah. So what is a Docker? Oh, someone says container. What do you mean by a container? Guys, only 2 or 3 people are responding. Others, I think, are simply watching. Yeah.
Sir, like Docker is basically in our system, when we run in the local system, we have the code base and we will run it, sir. But to combine our code with all the requirements and when other persons should run from this computer, we will wrap up into a container and we will deploy it, sir, in the form of small containers.
Exactly. So what is happening right now? You saw that once I closed that Fast API on my system, my front end stopped working, right? Why? Because my code was waiting for an API which was hosted on my laptop, right? Now the problem with this is that, remember, we were speaking about this earlier on when we were discussing the diagram, that when we were discussing this diagram, right? That what happens with multiple people want to access it. If something is present on your system, right, and it closes, every link will break, right? So there you need to use the concept of cloud and Docker, because basically you take the Docker and you put it on cloud. But again, let's understand Docker right now. Let's not go into cloud. So Docker is you can think, so we call it container. So let me open the website first of all, docker.com. Okay, I have created a long video on this. I have shared on the group. You can watch that. Docker is a containerization method, basically, through which you containerize your code. So what do you mean by containerization? So let's understand that. What you do in Docker is that, let's understand very basic. You create right now everything is present in your system. So what you do, you create a special container or a bucket wherever. In that you put everything that you need to run the application. Okay. Okay. Now this Docker image. So this is called Docker image. So in Docker we create Docker image. Okay. First of all. So this okay. So what is there? Whatever code you have, you will create a container basically. Now this container is portable. You can take this container, you can put it on AWS, you can put it on some Azure, you can put it on GitHub, anywhere you can take this container. The idea is behind this container is that everyone's computer is different, right? So whenever you download, you don't want your application to run on someone's computer. You want it to run on this Docker, so that the configurations remain same, right? Think like this, that there are 3 people. Okay, there's computer 1, computer 2. There, let's say 3. Let's say in a company there are multiple people. Okay. Let's say there are 9 people working in the company. Okay. Everyone's computer has different configurations. Okay. And let us say your application, let's say our chatbot, needs a Python version of 3.11. Now this has a Python version of 3.09. This has Python something else, right? So you cannot run. So remember, we read about the concept of virtual environment. A Docker is, you can think like this: Docker is a global virtual environment which you can use anywhere. Okay, right now what was happening, you were creating virtual environment so that your code does not get affected because of other codes in your computer. Okay, but now you want to take your application into production. In production, what do you mean by production? Anyone can use that website or application from their device, and their device might not even have that Python installed or something. You want it to run them. So what will happen? Each of the person will download this. Let's say this person will download it from here. Okay, on his laptop. Okay, so this person will download a copy of this. This person will also download a copy of this. Also download a copy of this. Now, whenever they run this code, remember there are two environments. One is this. Let's say this computer is Mac, right? This environment, and one is this is own operating system. This code now will run on the operating system of the Docker, okay, rather than the laptop, so that it does not matter what is the configuration of your laptop, your code will always run. So this is the whole concept of Docker. Okay, let me repeat it once again. The concept of Docker is that you take your code, you put it in such an environment or a container which you can put in any type of system, any computer, mobile, which is independent of the configurations, so that whenever you run your application, it runs inside the Docker container. It does not run inside your computer. Your computer is simply hosting it, like giving a space to run the Docker. But the memory, RAM, is not of your computer. RAM is of this particular Docker. Is it clear, the concept? Let me increase the timing. No, there is time left, by the way. But anyways, I'll increase it, but we don't need beyond that. But still, let me increase it indefinitely. Don't worry, we are not going 6 hours. I'm just keeping it. Don't say. Okay. Yeah. Let's come to the concept. Okay. So theoretically, what is Docker? You create a blank. So we call it containerization. I will speak about what is containerization. You put it in a empty place, which is only for that project. So Docker is a globalized version of your virtual environment. Any doubt, anyone? Please ask me. I think most of you know, but still, if someone does not understand, let me know, please. Again, this is not a Docker class. I can send you the video where I've explained in very much detail Docker. You can watch that, but just to explain you conceptually. Okay. So now, how does a Docker work? What you need to do is that whatever code you have, you will. So think like this. Right now, this is just a black box. Okay. Right now, this is just a blank box. Okay. Now tell me, any computer. So you need to start installing things in this thing. So whenever you buy a new laptop, let's say, or buy a new device, what do you do first? The first of all, what step is done? Let's say you buy a new laptop, totally blank. What will you do first? You will install unboxing. Yes, of course you will do, but after unboxing, you will install the you will install Windows, Mac OS basically, right? Whatever you want to do. So you are going to install the OS. Okay. Let's say you installed OS. What will you do after that? You want to run a Python application or whatever. What do you want? Let's say I have installed OS. What will you do? You bought a laptop, you installed the Windows or Mac, whatever it is. Now, or you took a mobile, you installed OS in that. Then, depending upon your use case, what you want to do, you will install applications or whatever you want to do. Let's say, if you're a developer, like if you're a coder, you will install some Python, Java. If you're a video editor, you will install some video editing software, right? So you need to install softwares as per your need. Okay. Install software. Now, because we are going to build a Python code, so we will only install Python in it. Okay. Third, after that, what will you do? Now that you have installed Python, let's say you installed Python here. What will be your next job? So let me do one thing. So let us say this was my computer. Okay. This was my computer and this is my Docker. Okay. Docker container. So I installed OS, I installed Python. What will I do now? Does my Docker contain the code?
Code to the containers.
Yes. The third step will be copy the code. Now everything will be just like what we are doing in our system. Copy code from computer to Docker. Okay. This will be your third step. So install OS was your first step. Then you will install Python or whatever you want to do. Then you'll copy the code. Okay. Once you copy the code, what do you do? Let's say I have a lot of files. I have a lot of files in my Python. I run a command Python 3. I don't run every file, right? I run a specific file only. Correct? So you will run the file, run the desired file. This is what you need to do in a Docker step. So basically, this is what happens in the whole step. Okay. It's not some rocket science, very simple. I mean, conceptually, if you see, it's very simple. You are simply creating a new computer, which is a virtual computer. You cannot see it, but it's a virtual computer. First of all, you're installing OS, then you're installing Python, then you're copying code, then you're running the desired file. Okay. Now what will happen that now there are a couple of concepts you need to know. There are three things that come into Docker. One comes Docker file. Second is Docker image. Third thing is Docker container. Can someone tell me the difference between these? I will tell, don't worry, but can someone tell me the difference between these? These are the only three terms that are present in Docker. Rest all is same, the concept. Docker is just this only. So tell me, there are three terms you would have heard, I'm very sure. What is the difference between Docker file, Docker image, and Docker container? Can someone tell me? Okay, so think like this. Let's go towards it. Okay. First of all, let's understand what is a Docker image. Docker image is a blueprint. In Python, you know classes and objects, right? So Docker image is a blueprint of your application. So what do I mean to say? It contains all the steps, everything, basically. It contains everything you need to do in a Docker image. So all the blueprint of your application, how things are running, everything is present in a Docker image. Okay. Now Docker container, based on a single image, you can run multiple containers. So what do I mean to say that? Let us say, for example, let's say you created an application. You can launch your application into 3 different websites. Can you do that? Let's say you created an application on your system. You created 3 URLs basically with the same code. Can you do that? For the same code, can you create 3 URLs and launch publicly? Why not? This is a website. This is DataSense website. Okay. battleground.datascience.com. If I have the code for it, I can create another website naming something else as well, right? I can call it battleground2.datascience.com. Everything will be same. UI will be same. Functionality will be same. But just there will be 2 different links, right? So Docker container is just like that. So think like this, that Docker image is the blueprint, is the Python class. Think like this. If you guys know, guys know Python, right? When we create, you create a class and you can create multiple objects from it, right? So this is a class, Docker image of your application. And then these are different websites. You can say that I can create multiple containers inside this. Docker file is just a text file to create Docker image. So it is just a text file which all these steps which you have done in this order are written in a Docker file. When you run the Docker file, a Docker image is created. Okay. Even after Docker image is created, your application is still not live. You need to run a Docker container over it. Okay. So this is a Docker file. You run a Docker file to create a Docker image. Docker image is just the blueprint of your application. Now you want to actually launch an application, so you will run a Docker container over it. Okay. You can run multiple containers or whatever it is, however you want to do. Clear, everyone? Or is there any doubt in this? Docker file is just the steps to create an image or steps to create the blueprint you write down in a text file. Once you execute the Docker file, your Docker image is created. Docker image is just the blueprint of your application. Everything sorted down. That image, you can take it anywhere. You can store it anywhere and you can give it to different people. So this, what happens that these people, remember I was talking about, these people download Docker image. They do not download Docker container. Okay. And then from same Docker image, people can launch their own websites so that everyone has the same version of the website. Doubts, please ask me. Conceptually समझना ज़्यादा important है. Coding is very simple. It is not even a coding. It's a very simple text file. You need to write down some things. Conceptually, please understand what is Docker file, what is Docker container, and Docker image. You always create Docker images. You share Docker images with people. For example, you create GitHub repo, right? You just like you create a GitHub repository and you share with anyone. Similarly, you can create Docker image of your project and you share inside companies. Okay, and those Docker images you host on AWS, you host on wherever you want to do. Okay, and once they run Docker container over it. Okay, so Docker container is the actual thing running. Docker image is the blueprint and Docker file is the steps. Please ask me any question, guys, if you have. Otherwise, I'll move to writing the code for it. I don't know why anyone is not asking questions today. I mean, I am fine. I have no problem, but or you guys already knew this? Okay, so let's move to creating a Docker file in our computer. I've already created, but I will create it again from scratch to explain. Okay, because there are very few lines of code, so it won't take much time. Okay, so I've already created. So what you do in your work directory, you create a file, call it in capital Docker, D capital file, and you will see this Docker coming here in VS Code. Okay. Okay, it is already present, so I will just name it right now something else, right? I've already created Docker file, so you don't yeah, so you can simply, you don't need to name it .test, you simply name it Docker file. Okay, so this is a Docker file, how it looks like. It looks like this, very simple code, but I need to explain you how it works. Okay, so what was the first step? When we are creating a Docker image, what is the first step? I'm keeping this in the half window and I'm keeping my chat in the left. I want to see people answering. What should be my first step? I explained you the steps in Docker. Let's go through them once again. Where is it? Install OS, install Python, copy code from computer to Docker and run the desired file, right? This is what we need to do. So what is the first part? Install OS and install Python, basically. These are the first two steps, okay? Now, for these two steps, you can run them as separate units as well, or you can import it from all, because this is something you need to do very frequently, right? So what you do, there are already pre-built images. If you go, this is the place called Docker Hub. Just like you have GitHub, similarly you have Docker Hub. Okay. Docker Hub is a repository where you store Docker images. Like this is the image of the chatbot that we are creating. I will show you. But this is just like GitHub. This is a Docker Hub where you store your Docker images. Okay. So now it has pre-built thing. Let me show you Python. Okay. When you search Python, you will see a lot of this is an official Docker image of Python. Okay. So what it does, let's see that. So let's pick anyone, for example. Eventually, everything is a GitHub only. Okay. So this Python is already built, a built pre-image, okay, which is hosted somewhere. And this is the bigger code. Now, point is that this whole code is repetitive. Okay. So you don't need to remember this code or run this code. You can simply do the first two part by writing a single line, by calling this image, which is present on the Docker Hub official. Okay. So what will you do? How will you call it? So what will this do? It will install Windows as well. And in that Windows, it will install a Python. So think like this. This is a computer which has Python installed in it. That's it. This is a window computer which has Python installed it. So rather than writing all these steps which you are seeing here, I don't, because it's very complicated, right? I don't need to do that. I can simply call it. So how to call it? So you do this, you say from. So whenever you use from means you're using a base image. So this is called using a base image, and above that you're creating. So the first two parts you will get it from so Python. We will be using 3.9. I think it is Slim. There are a lot of versions. You can use anything you want. Let me just confirm which one I was using. Yeah, we can use this one. Okay. So Python 3.9 Slim. Okay, this is just a text file. This is not any coding. So when you write this, it will automatically take this Docker's official image and it will get it. Or like you can use 3.12, you can use whichever you want to use, but 3.9 is sufficient. You don't need any advanced, like those things you can see. Is it clear with everyone, the first part? So the install OS and the installing Python part will already take place in this step only. Just this part. Sorry. I don't know why this is coming. Yes. Okay. So we are in Dockerfile.test, right? Is this clear, guys? The first step clear to you guys? In the blank image, in the blank file, we have already installed Python. Okay. What should be my next step? So let's comment it down so that you guys can understand. Use official Python image to create, to install Mac, to install OS and Python. Okay. What should be my step 2? What should be my step 2? Guys, just I need 15 more minutes, then you guys can leave. I don't want to keep you for long. Okay. So step 2 will be simply copy the code. Okay. So I have to copy code from my local computer to Docker image. Now Docker image is also computer now. So what will I do? I'll create a folder there in my, just like I have a folder for my chatbot. I want a folder in my Docker image container as well. So what will I do? There's a command called work directory, work dir. Okay. This is basically telling you to where you want to copy the path. Just like you do cd command here in your terminal. This is just like a cd command. So you'll say I want to work in a folder called, let's say, app, or you can name it anything. So in your Docker right now, what you have done, so let me show you visually what have we done. So after installing, so what you have simply created a folder whose name is app. Okay. Now there can be multiple folders inside your Docker container, but I'm just let's say app ABC XYZ. Okay. I am right now creating my application in this app folder. Okay. So let's write down. Now what should be the step? I have to copy everything from my computer to there. So I'll use a command called as copy. By dot is a way to specify the root folder. So this is the root folder, right? This enterprise.ai chatbot is my root folder. So when you mention dot, it means copy everything. Okay. And here also you will mention, sorry, give me a second. Okay. So here you will, what you're doing, you're copying the whole folder of your every folder from here to Docker to Docker container. Okay. In Docker container, all these files will go inside a folder called as app. Okay. All clear, guys? Now tell me one thing. Once you have all the code in your laptops, let's say you have installed Python, you have put Python, you have written everything. What is the first step you do once you have your code? Let's say you have written down a code and you have written requirement.txt, everything you have done. What's the next step you do? First of all, you install the Python packages, right? So what will we do? We will install the dependencies. Install dependencies. How do you install dependencies? What is the command to install dependencies of Python from a requirement.txt file? How do you do that? Pip install. So this you'll write on a command run, because remember, this is not running in your system. This will run inside the Docker container. So you need to mention run. Okay. And then you'll say pip install. You will say r requirements.txt. Clear? Okay, this is what you do in terminal. Okay. Now coming the next part. You have your computer and you have your Docker. Okay, these are two different things. You want to connect them because see your computer can be connected to multiple Docker images, Docker thing, right? So how do you uniquely connect to a particular thing? So what do we do? There's a concept of, so let's say you want to connect these two. Okay, you connect these two based on ports. Okay, because remember, one computer can have multiple Docker installed. It can have connection with a lot of things. So you want to fix a connection with this. So what will you do? You'll set up a port here. Okay, so one port will be for your computer and one port will be for your Docker image. Okay, and then you will link those two ports. Okay, so let's say this is the port for that and this is the port for this, and you will link these two ports. Clear? This part. Why the porting is required? Because a Docker can communicate to multiple things. It might be connected to a computer. It can be connected to something else. There might be multiple applications running inside Docker, right? So you want to stabilize. You want that, okay, for this application, I just want to use this port. Okay, just like this for this website. Whenever you load this website, only this opens, right? Because my port is connected to that. There is a single connection. When you load this website, Google does not come. It only loads the data science website, right? So that is the concept behind it, that you have using the ports concept here. Okay. So now what you will do, you need to expose the ports from the both end. So you will say expose ports. Okay. So to expose ports, by default, fast API exposes 8000 and your computer exposes 8000 and your fast API uses, I think, Streamlit basically using it uses 8501. This is a number that you should remember. These are fixed numbers. These are not like they do not change. I mean, you can change them anytime, but this is something that remains constant. Okay, so this is what is it. And after this, let's come to one more thing. Now in my application, there are two things. There is a backend, there is a front end. Okay, a backend creates an API and front end takes that API. So which code should run first? My computer has a backend code and a front end code. Backend creates an API, front end uses that API to launch on the front end website. So which code should run first? Backend code should run first and then your front end code should run. Okay, you execute these through an sh file. Okay, these are just very basic concept. I mean, what you need to do, remember we used to run these by running uvcon and streamlit run. Whenever we used to run the Python code, they automatically never run. We used to run a uvcon command, then only they used to run. Okay, so whenever you require such things, you use this entry point.sh file. What it does, it's a bash file basically. What it does is that first of all you run the backend, right? And once your backend is run, then you run the front end. Okay, so this order is very, very important. Okay, and it means that keep the container alive. So what is it doing? uvcon main app, this much we did, right? And this is a host and this is a port. We are launching this backend on the port 8000. Okay, so whenever I will do, right now you will not see anything. Now it is coming blank, but once application runs, when I run localhost 8000, I will see my application running in my backend, the backend part. The front end part, I'm exposing on the other app server. I'm exposing it on 8501. Okay, these are just static codes. You just need to change the ports. That's it. If you want to change, these are very standard codes. I mean, there's no how they work, I've explained you. You just copy these codes, change the port if you want to, otherwise simply use them as such they are. Okay. So I've created a file which contains the order of execution. I need to call this file in my Docker file. Okay. So what will I do? I will simply run. There's a command you should know. There's run. Okay. It's chmod. Okay. It's a command parameter basically. Plus X, and your app means your Docker file, and you need to run this entry point .sh. So what this command is going to do, that first of all it will run your backend, then it will run your front end. Okay. And once you have run this, you need to simply okay, so this part is done, and you need to launch it. So you will use another command cmd, and you will call this whole part again here. Okay. That's it. This is the Docker code. If I go to Docker file, it's the exact same code, right? So let's read it through. This is the official image which you are using. Set working directory, copy everything from root to app, install dependencies. This no cache, what it does, that it does not create cache memory. It always installs again and again. Okay. You are exposing ports. You can do 2 ports as well. Okay. Run in this particular order. Okay. And then that's it. The code is about. Is it clear to you guys? Before I run this code, any doubt, anyone in understanding the code? Syntax you will get to know. You have the code in the GitHub, but understanding what is the flow, why are we writing in a certain order, you need to understand. Please guys, ask if you have any doubts. Just this was the last part. I will now run and show you how it is running. Okay. And then I'll push the code to GitHub. That's what we need to do. Clear guys? Any doubt, anyone? कोई कुछ बोलता ही नहीं. Anyways, it's fine. Okay. So I have the whole code written in the Docker file. What will I do? I have to create a Docker image. So for that, you need to install Docker first. Okay. Docker desktop. So you go to the website docker.com. You can install Docker from there. Simply download Docker desktop. This is how it looks like. Okay. Now Docker has a lot of concepts, not only containers. And so you will see something like this: containers, images, volumes, builds, and a lot of things. These are the advanced concepts you don't need to know. Simply there will be an image. See, I created this image 6 hours back. I was testing something in morning. Okay. And then there's a container which is running on something. So this is a Docker image created. Now based on this image, I will run my different commands. So if you see this image has all the files I need to run the Python or whatever I need to do. Okay. So this is containers, this is images. You will see when I created it, tags. This is the latest file. There's an image ID. This is the image ID. This is unique to every image. And the size, you can run contain, a lot of things you can do, and you can delete as well from there. Okay. Anyone, any doubt, please tell me. Okay. Just give me a second. Okay. So the first step is to create a Docker image. So we have only created Docker file. Remember I told you, you will have a Docker file. You need to create a Docker image based on that, right? So how will you do? You will, so let's do one thing. Let's first of all delete the already pre-existing images. Remember, you cannot delete an image till your container is deleted. So first of all, delete any existing container, then go to image and delete it. Okay. Now I don't have any container in my computer right now. So let's go this. Let's write down. There are two commands which you need to know. So how to create a Docker image? So there is a command which says Docker build. Okay. So to create an image, there's a command called as Docker build. Okay. Then you say T. T means tag. You want to name that image. So you can name that image. Let's say RAG chatbot. This is the name of my application of my image, and then you give a dot. That's it. Through this, you will create a Docker image. Now see what will happen. All these steps will happen one by one. So closely look at the output which runs here. Okay, all these steps will start happening from the scratch. Okay. So see, now it is building. First of all, if you see here, transferring the context, transferring Docker file. Step one was this. Now it is installing, running the pip install. So it copied the content, it created the work directory application. Now it is running the pip install into that Docker container, into the Docker image. Okay. So it takes some time to build the image. I mean, because the files are heavy. You remember it's GBs of file. So it takes a while. So now your Docker image is created. Okay. So let's go to your Docker. If you see, a Docker image was created here. RAG chatbot latest image ID, and just 41 seconds ago it was created. Okay. Now it does not show act. It means unused because I have not created any container over it. I have just created a Docker image. So what do I need to do now? I need to create a container over it. Okay. So to create a container, you can do two ways. You can simply create a container from here as well, but we will do through terminal commands because that's what you need to learn. So to create a Docker, to run a Docker container over it, what you will need to do, there's a command called Docker. What is the logic of these commands? These all I have covered separately in that video. Okay. So Docker run. D means detached mode. Okay. What is a detached? What is not detached? Again, that's for later. P means port. Okay. So after that, you will say 8000. One, and you will simply say, give it a name, that my app. Oh, sorry, I need to give, sorry, image name, my bad. So Docker, I have that command somewhere. A second. Docker run D, and Docker run D, and then it is P. I just need to check on the Docker run D. E, it, and then you will give the image ID. So the image ID, which was here, You can either copy the image ID or you can copy that name, whatever is fine with you. So, oh shit, my bad. Docker run 𝗘𝗵𝗁𝗏, then you need to give it a name. So the name is let's copy this image. So this Docker runner is created. Now if I go here, you will see my container is running now. Okay. So my application is now hosted on localhost 8000. Okay. Now if I ask it the question, how many products are there in stock? It will get me the answer. Okay. So this is how my application is created now. Even if I close my Python code now, okay, let's say I close it, this application will still keep on running, because now it is not dependent on my system. Now it is dependent upon this Docker image that I created. Okay, on this image it is dependent, which will run automatically without troubling anything ever. Okay, of course, if my system crashes, my computer breaks down, then if it will go down. So but this container will run. So what we do generally now, we take this Docker image and we put it to cloud, and from there we run containers, so that my thing is not dependent on any particular computer. Okay, that's how it works. So this is an application of showing you how you deploy your code into production using Docker. Any doubt, please, anyone?
Sir, the image you created, these Docker things are just basics, right, sir? But Docker is so much more, right?
Docker is very much more. Docker, this is nothing what I told, right? This is not a Docker course. I'm just, see, remember what is this workshop about? This workshop is about deploying a chatbot from building to end, right? This is not about Docker. So when we study Docker,
sir, I just asked.
Okay, so yeah, there is a lot in Docker. If let me tell you, so this is just a basic way. Container images. Then there comes volumes. Volume is a very major concept, right? Because you need to store your memory. How do you set up environment variables? And it's alone. I mentioned each of the topic we did, fast API, Docker. Each itself deserves a course of 20 to 25 hours, because there are a lot in that. So again, those things you can. The idea of this workshop is to tell you how things work. Now it's up to you to go and explore these things, right? That to understand the importance of this. If someone would have told you Docker just like that, you might not have understood the importance. Now that you know, okay, there is something like Docker which is used to deploy. Now you can go deep dive. Maybe you can watch some other course, watch some video, right? And if I launch a course on that, maybe you can join if you're interested, right? So this is the whole process I'm explaining. Yes, each topic, Docker, fast API, GitHub Action are itself very big. Okay. Clear, guys? Any doubt? Now, just one part is remaining. I need to show you how to push this code to GitHub and GitHub Actions. Right? For GitHub Actions, to deploy this code into GitHub Action, it will take a lot of time. So I have just created a very small code. I'll show you how it works in GitHub Actions, and then you're free to drop the class. Okay. How many of you attended the GitHub Actions class, which I conducted a couple of weeks back? Okay, 1% internet. So GitHub Actions is, remember, this part is just that you created here. Now you want to take your code into production. Now, because remember, you saw this file is very heavy, right? 3.36 GB. If I start moving it, it will take a lot of time. So I'll just show you the steps. Yeah, I'll post here or I'll post on the WhatsApp group. I already shared all the relevant prerequisite video things. Okay, I even posted before the workshops as well, that you can go through them. So I will show you how how to push a code to GitHub, and then I will take a very basic function and I will show you how GitHub Actions is done. I'll just walk you through those steps. Okay. Remaining video you can explore. Those are free courses. They were also live courses like that, but I covered them in detail there. Okay. So just last part of this workshop is how to take a code push to GitHub. So I will not use this code. Let's do something else. Okay. Let me open a brand new code. Terminal, cd desktop. How many of you know how to push your code to GitHub from your computer? Okay. Even if you don't know, there's a course, a 9-hour course on Git that I've done. I have covered into that. I'll share you its link, but you can watch it here. I'm just explaining you the steps. The reasoning of those steps I've covered into that course. Okay. So think like this. Let's say create a basic project, mkdir. Let's call it test. Okay, mkdir GitHub test, whatever it is. Okay, this is there. So I need to let's cd into mkdir GitHub. Sorry, cd GitHub test. GitHub test. Okay, open this folder, desktop, GitHub test. Okay, let's say I created a file here. Now what you need to do, you need to say, I create a normal file. I come here, I create main.py. Okay, I just write down a function. Let's say def sum a comma b return a plus b. Okay. Now I need to push this code from here to so first of all, I will need to store this in I need to create git commits basically. So the first step is git init. What does it do? Git init is a step that when you do it, it creates a git repository in your local. Okay. Now what it will do? It will help you track the changes. Whatever changes you can do, you can put them here. After the git init, you need to write down whatever changes you have to done. You have to stage them. You will say git add. Okay. So it will add all the changes that you, let's say you made some changes to files, right? These changes are incorporated here. Now I will do git commit. Okay. When you do git commit, M means message, and you will say first commit. So you have basically created a git commit here, something like this. Now you want to push this code from here to GitHub. So what will you do? That go to GitHub. First of all, let's go to GitHub, create a new repository. You'll go to GitHub, create a new repository. Let's name it anything. Testing. Okay. And make it public or anything, just create a repository. And what you're going to do, you're going to simply this link you will be getting. So again, I'm just telling the steps, right? How these steps work, what is the science behind Git, all that is in a separate course. The Git course is paid. It's available for 200 rupees. If someone wants to purchase, you can text me. But yeah, so what you do here is simply, first of all, you need to think like this. This is your computer. Where is it? So this is your computer. Okay. And this is your GitHub. You need to push your code from computer to here. Just like that, we create connections here. Similarly, we will create connections between our computer repository and the GitHub cloud. So what we do, we do something, we'll say git sorry, git remote add. So this part, remember, you'll see two terms. Remote means your cloud and local means your computer. This is remote. And this is your local. Always. Your computer is always your local. Your cloud is always the remote. So what will you do now? You will say git remote add, or you will give this connection a name. So whatever connection you are established between these two, you're giving it a name, because you can form multiple connections from your computer to multiple. Let's say you have multiple repositories in GitHub Cloud. Okay. So every connection you want to give a different name. So for this connection, I'm giving a name origin. You can give any name. After that, you will simply copy that. Sorry, my bad. What did I do? Git remote add origin. Okay. I will copy this link from my GitHub, this part, and I will put it here. Okay. Now when I go here, what I need to do, I need to add, remember, I need to add my GitHub user ID. So I'll say at. Okay. This you need to add, otherwise it will throw an error. Now you run it. So remote origin already exists. So I think I have already created. So what I will do, I'll create something else. Git remote add testing. Okay. So I created this. Now I simply need to write on the command git push testing the main branch. There are a lot of branches, so I'll simply push the main branch. So now my code has moved from here to GitHub. Now if I reload it, you see my main.py has come here to GitHub automatically. So you can automatically push codes from your local system to GitHub. Okay. Any doubt, anyone? These are the commands I will let you know. Basically, so there are standard 4 to 5 commands which you need to know. One is git init, then you do git add, then you do git commit, then you do git remote add, and then you do git push. How these commands work logically, please watch the full length course of Git that I have taken, right? But these are the steps that you should know. Okay, even if you don't watch the course and you understand these 5 steps, you are good to go to basically push code to GitHub. Okay, any doubt, anyone? Do you guys have energy for 10 more minutes? I'll explain the GitHub actions if you want. How does it work? Otherwise, we can drop. I mean, you can watch the GitHub actions. Whole video is there. It's a detailed video. If you guys want, I can explain you here, because I don't have time to put this code into GitHub, this image into GitHub action. It will take like at least 1 to 2 hours to put this code. Then it will be like bad for you. So do you guys want me to cover, or it's too tiring for now? You can watch the video later on. Tell me. However, I'll go with the majority. However you guys say. So just give me a second. Okay. Okay. So this is the YouTube channel that we have, right? So this yesterday's video I put on the YouTube. It's available. You can text me your YouTube email ID. I will give you access from there, because it's private. Not everyone has access. I covered Git and GitHub in detail. It's a paid course. It's cost 200 rupees. If someone wants, you can buy that. Otherwise, we have the GitHub actions I did in a live workshop. You go, it's a free video available. It's a 2.5 hour class. I've explained by taking a code that how do you take into GitHub pipeline. Okay. Again, I can give you a summary of that if you want, but or you can refer to that video. It's up to you, whatever you guys say, because it's been well above the time, and so you guys decide. Okay, so let me just explain you the steps of actions, right? And that how do they work? Okay. So what I will do, I'll take a very basic small project. So let's go to GitHub. I have this. This is live website. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to deploy a website using a link, basically. Where is it? Yeah, app.py. So I'm going to deploy. So this is the fast API code that I have, right? I will deploy this code in GitHub Actions in real time. Okay, and you will see that basically how the rendering process works and everything. So let's do one thing. Let's create a new project, or let's continue with this one only, right? Right, to create a new project. We have this project. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to import this this code from here, and requirement.txt fast API unicon. Okay, so this is requirements.txt. Okay, so first of all, I need to do clear a Python 3 mvenv source testing /bin/activate. Okay. So I have this code. What this code is doing? This is a very simple fast API code. If you see, let me install the pip install requirements.txt. Pip install fast API, pip install uvcon. Okay, so tell me what this code is doing. Can you guys tell me what this code is doing? We just did a very basic code.
It's just getting set. When we run it, we will see in the post page.
Yeah, this is a very basic fast API. Two functions are there, two endpoints are there. One is returning this message, one is returning this message, right? So let's run it to see. First of all, Python 3 main.py uvcon main app. So this is my local host. It is posted here. Okay, so if I do one thing, if I change anything, I am learning fast API, it will automatically get updated. And if I refresh the link, my link is updated. Now, right now, this link is on my local, correct? So what do I want to do? First of all, I want to make this link working. So what will I do? Simply, I'll first of all make the changes and push this code to GitHub. Okay. So how to push to GitHub? I'll say git add git commit. Oh, sorry. Git add git commit and deploy. Okay. Now the third part is I need to push it. I'll say git push testing main. Okay. So this whole code has been pushed to GitHub. If I see here, reload this, I have all my code. This cache Python updated file is there on my GitHub and requirement.txt file. What I need to do, instead of right now the website was hosted on my local, I want to host it on a proper URL. So what will I do? I will go to this website. Let me tell you. There's a website called Render. This Render, this Vercel, like lot of websites are there. You can use any. Go to dashboard. See, I have already created a lot of websites. I mean, this one I think was already created long back. I don't know. So what you have to do, you have to go here, click on add new. You have to create a new project or new website. You'll say web service. Okay. And you'll select your GitHub repo. So I have connected my GitHub to this. So it will automatically test, sense whatever. This is my latest testing. Okay. So few things you need to do here. This is a Python file, main root directory is this, and there needs to be some command uvcon which I was running, right? So let me check it. Yeah, this command, because we run this uvcon command on the web every time, right? So you need to run this. You choose the free version and you just deploy the web service. Okay, it is pretty easy. Just simply see it, and what it will do, it will connect from GitHub, and it will, if you see clone from GitHub, and it will automatically create everything in very few short time. Build successful. Now let's see, it is deploying now, and okay, running uvcon. Let me check if it has come. No, it's still not loading. Give it few more. It takes some time. कभी-कभार uvcon command not found. What is the error? Running uvcon app port exited with status. This uvcon command not found. Oh shit! I did app.app. Yeah. Okay, my bad. I should have used. I ran it incorrectly. So let's go to render, dashboard, create a new web service, search this testing. Okay, it is, you can name it. Okay, my deployment. Okay, Python main. Then here the command that you need to put is this one. So remember, R was main.app, not app.app. So main is my Python file. Inside my Python file, app is the instance name. And now I will deploy it. Now it will run. So it will take from your GitHub the code, automatically put everything in the backend. Let me tell you what it does. It takes the code from your GitHub. It creates its own Docker image. You don't get to see it, but in the backend, render works this way. It creates your own Docker image, and it's basically runs container on that. So that's how it works. So it will deploy. Now let's see. Not found yet. It's still in the deploying state. What happened? Vcon main app port. What is not found? Vcon. Let me go in the backend. This was it. Let's see what is the problem with this. I think it should be. I don't know if it's because of my waiting logs. Yeah, I'm covering the GitHub actions. Just first of all, let's connect the link, then only GitHub actions will make sense. Still building. Let me do one thing. If it does not work, I have already a link working. I will show you how that works. So this one I created long back. Okay. Yeah, I have this one working. If this does not work, we'll work with this particular link. So because we eventually just need a link. I think I've used some command incorrectly. Anyways, let's focus on the GitHub action part. So what you do, basically, I've created this link here, right? And this is the dynamic link. Like even if I give to you, if you can check in your yeah, see, there are let me tell you. So there are two methods. Okay. First of all, what you can do, first of all, check this link. This link should be working on your systems. So how it goes is that you have a Docker image, right? First of all, you take that Docker image to your GitHub actions, okay, and from there you connect to different rendering websites. That is one method, okay, and that is generally the most preferable, I would say. In companies, what you will do, that in companies there is a concept of BYOI, okay, means bring your own image. So every team, engineering team that is working, what they need to do, they simply need to create a Docker image of them, and then they need to pass it to the MLOps team or DevOps team. Okay. After that, the DevOps team take that project, take that image, and deploy it at different websites. If you see this render, there is an option when you click. Let's go to render. Let me show you an example. Here's an option to connect your, let's say, add a new. Instead of Git, you can connect with an existing image. So whatever image you have, you can connect to your image as well, so that it is directly connected with your image. And that image is hosted on Docker Hub. Remember, I showed you dockerhub.com. So you can host it. So basically what I did, that but this method is little time taking. That's why I'm not, because I'm not able to cover here right now, is that whatever image you created here, you push it to Docker Hub. And from that Docker Hub, you link your render. Okay, so that whenever your Docker image is updated, your link is also updated. That is one method of doing. Is it clear? This was the first method. Second method is you connect your GitHub repo with the render. Now render, if it will automatically create an image in the backend and it will host that. Okay, so you will not get to see all those images and all that. You will simply see the deployment website. Okay, so that is also the way. So both ways are there. It's just that it takes some time to move image and all that. So right now I'm not doing the image version. I'm simply doing the GitHub version. Okay. So let's understand this. Now this was the link, right? So what I'll do here, now let's understand GitHub Actions. What is the meaning of GitHub Action? GitHub Actions is a way so that you can automate your pipeline, so that whenever there is a change in your code, you push it to repository. It is automatically detected in the system, and it is basically automatically the link is updated. That is the objective of GitHub Actions. So how does it work? So let me do one thing. Let me clone this website, clone this repository rather than creating my own. I'll do this. So if you have to download anything from the desktop, you simply can go and clone as well. Terminal, cd desktop, git clone. Okay, I've got the website in my desktop. Let's go here. Live website. Okay, this is my project here. Okay, now what is happening that this project, let's say git remote fee. Okay, so this has a get a live website dot perfect. So now what you need to think that I need to basically push this code to GitHub so that my link, this is automatically updated, right? For example, let's say the moment I make some changes here, I make some changes here, I push the code, so the link should automatically be updated. That is the concept of deployment, right? So we do this using GitHub Actions. Now in GitHub Actions, there are three concepts you need to understand. One is workflow, one is jobs, and one is steps. Okay, so what these are, let me tell you. Okay, I have a small PPT for this. I'll just walk you through that PPT quickly. Again, this I covered in the video. Please watch that video definitely after the course. So I'm walking you through very quickly, right? So as we mentioned, what is CI/CD? It is an example where, let's say you have this website. Okay, you want to update it, right? So let's say you want to make some changes to this website. So instead of making like putting the website into maintenance and then uploading everything, what you will do, you'll create a copy of the website, upload that, make those changes, and the moment you have done with the changes, you will push that to website, so that website is always live and people can have seamless experience. Okay, so this is CI/CD which we discussed. Now what happens in GitHub Actions? Let's see about GitHub. So this is the step of automatic deployment, that user will upload the code will go into testing and everything. Once it is done, it is going to deployment. Okay, so we use a lot of tools for CI/CD, GitHub Action, Jenkins, and all that. But right now there are three concepts in GitHub Actions. One is repository. So remember, every GitHub has a repository, right? Every GitHub repository has three things. The first thing is every repository will have a workflow. What is the meaning of a workflow is that what is your eventual task? Whether you are doing a testing of your website, whether you are deploying your website, whether you are making some changes, like, so workflow is the most, I will say, a top level thing that, for example, you think like this. You say I have to become an you say I have to become a data scientist, right? Now, to become a data scientist, you need to do a lot of things, right? But becoming a data scientist is your workflow. Okay. Inside becoming data scientist, what you need to do? You need to learn Python coding, you need to learn ML concepts, you need to learn a lot of things, right? So what you will do, you will say inside the workflow, becoming a data scientist involves multiple steps. The first step is learn coding. Second step is learn machine learning. Third step is, let's say, learn something else. So these are called jobs. Okay. So become a data scientist, to become a data scientist, learn coding, learn machine learning. Okay. Let's say there are two tasks right now. Learn coding, learn machine learning. And to learn coding, there are different steps as well, right? What you will do, you will first of all study Python basics, then loops, then whatever functions and all that you will study. So these are the steps that you do. So there's a workflow. Workflow contains jobs, and a job contains multiple steps which are present. So and there can be multiple workflows, right? You might want to become a data scientist, you might want to become a data engineer, you might want to become pilot. It could be anything, right? So this is you can want to do anything, and to do everything there are certain jobs and steps which you need to follow. Is it clear, the concept? Okay. So this was the defining workflow, defining jobs, and defining steps. These are the three things we do in any GitHub actions. Okay. This we do using in a YML file. Okay. We write down all the steps, everything we do. I have done that for you, but I will still write it again and explain you step by step. So for this project. So how do you do in your Python code? First of all, you need to create a folder .github. Inside that, you need to create a folder exactly named workflows. Okay. You cannot change this. This name has to be the same. If you don't keep it same, it will not run. Okay. After that, once you go into this, you will see this deploy.yml. Okay. And there is a code. So let me create another code, test.yml. Okay. I'll explain you this code. So it's a very basic code. The first thing that you need to do is you need to mention the name of your workflow. So let's say the workflow, my name is my deployment. Okay. And if I told you this workflows are attached to what? These workflow are attached to repositories. We saw that, correct? So for everything that happens in your repository, you trigger your workflow. Let us say, so I mean, for example, what do you mean by trigger? That let us say you saw one of your friend become a very good data scientist. He's earning a lot and he's having a good thing. Suddenly it triggers your mind, oh my God, I have to become a data scientist now. And you will suddenly start following that approach. Next day, you saw a friend working very good as a product manager somewhere else. Okay. You saw, oh no, I think becoming product manager is the better career path. And then you change your path. So basically you got triggered by seeing different things. So similarly, the workflow that you run depends what changes you do in your repository. And I mentioned that whenever you push any change to your GitHub repository, you want to run this workflow, my deployment. Okay. There are a lot of methods, on push, on pull request, like there are a lot of, but mostly we use push, that whenever we make any change to my repository, it should push it. Okay. Now let's study about the jobs and deployment. Okay. So for this, so what does GitHub Action do? It works exactly like Docker images. Docker images create a virtual container for you, right? And what do? You install dependencies and you run your code. That's what you do, correct? Now think like this. Right now, what is the workflow? Where is it? What is the workflow? If you look at it closely, This is my GitHub. This is my, sorry, let's say this is my computer. This is my GitHub. And after GitHub is my render website, whereas my URL is there. My render website. I make changes. So my render is connected to GitHub and my computer is connected to GitHub. My computer is not connected to render, right? So whenever I make any change here, then render automatically picks from GitHub. Okay. So I need to write down a code that whenever I push a code to GitHub, render should come and update my link. That's what I need to do. Okay. So repeating it once again, whenever I push my code from my computer to GitHub, render should get to know and render should execute a command, something like that. The link gets updated. Okay. So this is what we are going to do here. If you see this, okay, let's do one thing. Let's delete this. So this was your first part, right? Where you are deploying your website. Now remember, you need to write down jobs. Under jobs comes your steps. I showed you. So what is your job? Your job, this is only one job, deploy right now. You can have multiple jobs. Like let's say, for example, you can have multiple jobs. Let's say this was deploy. There was another job, testing. Okay. So there are multiple jobs that you can run it. So again, it's we are running only one job right now. So if I showed you, if you remember, in Docker container also we used to install OS, right? Similarly, in GitHub Actions, it provides us a virtual computers. So we need to install on those computers this, whatever. You can do Ubuntu latest, or you can say Mac OS latest, whatever you want to write, you can write it down. Okay. After that, it's your step. Now tell me this thing. Your GitHub is there. You're creating an action. So what is GitHub action doing? It is taking your code repository and it is similarly creating a virtual machine. Okay. Now tell me, is there this code present on your virtual machine or not right now? Is the code present on virtual machine right now? Yes or no? Guys, if you're feeling sleepy, you can let me know. Or it is going above your head. I know it's been long, just few more minutes, guys. So this is your repo, this is your virtual machine. By default, this GitHub repo is not present in virtual machine. GitHub runs, remember, see, GitHub, what it does, it provides you multiple virtual machines where you can run your codes. Okay. But initially these codes are not present. So what you need to do, you need to take this code, you need to move it from here to here, whatever virtual machine you are talking about. So this is what we are doing here. We are checkout. There's a checkout option, right? This is, so GitHub Actions provide a lot of methods. So GitHub Actions checkout. You straight away simply, what does it mean? It copies this action checks out your repository under this workspace. So it copies the code from your GitHub to the virtual machine. So how you can simply call it by using this method. Okay. So you will do this. This was your first step. Once you've copied the code, your second step is deploy to the render. And this is a straightforward command, which is given by render. You can simply get to know through render only. Like here, you will see in the render only, you will see this is a deploy hook. Basically, this is a code which you need to pass. So what this will do in your computer, it will automatically run the URL, update the URL, and that's it. This is all that is required. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to clear it, git add, git commit, and second deploy, and I'll say git push origin. So my code has gone. Now the moment I push my code, let's go to GitHub repo. Where is the live website? This is the live website, right? If you come into, there are multiple tabs here. If you come into actions, has it not received or what? Oh, sorry, we have pushed to some other website, right? Live website. I'm not sure if it is going to this. Yeah, sorry, it just got now. If you see, this commit was it just came in. Sometimes it takes time. 1 minute ago, this commit was updated. Now, if you go to action, it will take some time. Sometimes it takes few seconds or minutes to load it here. This deployment will come. Yeah, I think it worked. So in 1 minute ago, I think it automatically worked, right? And it deployed my website. Now, if I go to render, what I can simply do, I can manual deploy and change things. Okay, so now my whole website and my GitHub action is connected. Now let me show you the changes, what I was meaning to be the changes. So let's do one thing. This is presently my link right now. Okay, actually it is deploying or what? Live website events. Yeah, okay, deploy is happening. Just see the results. Everything is done. Just the results are there. So please see this. It's still loading. Service is live. Okay. Not yet. Yeah. See, this website is live now. Okay. Now see how quick things are. So now what will happen that this is my website. This is my GitHub repo. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply, this is my website. This is this. Let's bring the render as well close by. Okay. Now see what is going to happen. I'll simply make changes to my code. I'll go here in the app.py. I will say I just made a deployment. Okay, let's say this is my code. I made some changes. So what will I do? I'll push the changes to Git. I'll say git add, git commit m third. Okay, git push origin main. The moment I push it, my code will first of all go to GitHub. So let's see if my code has reached GitHub. Okay. So it has just updated it's showing now, just got updated. And in actions, my third got deployed. See, everything is so fast. Okay. And my deployment, it will start happening again. So yeah, my third deployment has already automatically, my deployment will start in the backend. So it will take my latest commit, whatever is updated, and just see in next few seconds, website will automatically be updated. So it is taking. So if I check right now, it's still I'm learning development. Okay, but because it is still in the deployment phase. But once the deployment gets completed, it should change to whatever I changed in my code. Now, the deployment alone takes some time, because when you will do big projects, sometimes it takes up to hour of deployment. But the process is very simple. You just make changes to your code and you push to GitHub. Everything will happen automatically. Now, depending upon the size of your project, it can take few minutes, it can take few hours, it can take days as well. Okay. That's why I didn't deploy the whole chatbot project right now, because it takes some time. Now it says my service is live. Let's still wait. Let's see. See, my link is updated. I just made a deployment and my link is updated. Okay. So this is the complete pipeline of GitHub Actions. Again, I know I didn't explain GitHub Actions in a lot detail, but I've told you the basic steps that you need to do. So right. Render is just a website which is used to create URLs for your projects. There are a lot of websites, like you can use 𝗲𝗍𝗃 as well. Okay, build and deploy the websites. So there are a lot of websites. You can explore that on your own. So overall, we saw in this whole workshop project, again, this was a project workshop, not a concept workshop. So we created Track Chatbot, we created Fast API, we created Docker image, we created project into the image, and we saw it started working in my system without me. Even if I close the code, right, it was automatic deployment. And after that, we created another project through GitHub Actions on a link, right? And so that whenever I make any change, the link is automatically updated. And this is called complete deployment. Okay, there are a lot of other things as well. I mean, let me tell you, this step is present in every company. Okay, and people add a lot of like few people will add AWS layer, few will add something else, but the overall concept of deployment will remain same. Okay, you can add Kubernetes over it and those concepts, but these are for later. Right now, just understand how deployment works. Okay, so that's it from me. I think in this workshop, I mean, I'm sorry I've taken a lot of time, but there was just too many things to cover. You can watch the recording. I will give you for sure. And thanks again for joining. If you guys have any question, please feel free to ask. And we are done with the session. So even if you're a data scientist, you might not do deployment on your own, but you should know what all things are there, because you will see people talking about this, right? So it's good to know. At least you should know what a Docker does, what a Fast API does. Even if you don't create on your own, you should know what a GitHub action does, right? So even that much is sufficient for those who are not like proper developers. Okay, if you're a developer, then these things are a must for you. Yeah, guys, please, if anyone has any question, please let me know.
Satvik, just a general question.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, like we have created a chatbot now that is just by using an LLM, but we have not trained any model, we have not used any algorithms and all, because what I find is nowadays in all the JDs, it's mentioned that we need to know LLMs, we need to know all the deployment and everything. So I don't understand how that is related to the an ML engineer.
Think like this: an AI engineer and ML engineer are two different things. And AI engineering is more of a software job, okay, where you make API calls, you create, you don't train your models, because at least LLMs are already trained. I mean, fine tuning people do, but very rarely, right? Now, and when an ML engineer comes, he has to do all those things. The thing is that companies right now in the market, people are because these LLM applications are very quick to create and all that, right? So people are inclined towards it. Companies are making a lot of investment in building LLM based projects, right? So an AI project does not involve training and all that. That I agree for sure. But if you will go for AI role or engineer or anywhere, people want to check your machine learning knowledge. Without that, they will not hire you. So an AI engineering is just and like I will say, addition to ML engineering. Okay, an ML engineer is a pure machine learning person. AI engineer is not a machine learning person. So that's how it is. Is it?
Okay, so yeah, so just one more clarification. So basically, like if you're an AI engineer, you will be doing, like you will be using the LLMs, but you will not be training them. But
You can,
an ML engineer,
depending upon your company. See, depends upon your project. A lot of projects require training as well. But in most of the projects I've seen, they do not do the training part.
oh, okay, fine. So nowadays, like the basics, like which algorithm we are using, and then dividing that into test and train, all those are not being used.
See, the thing is that the job market is little bit different now. Thing is that those creating test and like for you take a data set, train and test data set, then you do those things are still relevant, and they are the basis of everything. The point is that think like this: a company is not hiring into those fields right now because those models are already set up in the company. Teams are already working. Okay, so you will get to see those roles whenever someone leaves the company. Okay, so let me take a very simple example. Let's say there is a company with 100 people. Okay, there are data scientists which have worked on the traditional ML models and all that. Now, to get a job in the company, there are two methods. Either someone leaves the company, or company increases their number of jobs. Right? Now,
Yeah.
people are not leaving because given the job market, people are not leaving. So the people who are working in the traditional ML jobs, they are not leaving them. Okay, because of that. But the requirement is not into that. Requirements are into AI fields. Okay, and for that, even if you don't know testing and all that, it's fine. Just with the AI work, you can get around with it. So that's how it is.
Okay. Also, one more doubt. Like today we did web scraping and all.
Yes.
So and this chatbot also. So in as far as a financial institution is concerned, like how can this be applied there? I was working in a bank.
I'm also working in a bank, right?
Okay.
Let me tell you, in my company. So in my company, I'm not sure, we have a lot of Confluence pages. Do you have that in your company? So
No. Yeah. Yes, please.
so every company has a lot of documentation, like standard templates of company. For example, let's say you have to go through something. Yeah, a lot of companies have Confluence pages. A lot of companies do not have. They have something else, right? Which contains all the documentation of the company, that how should it, from basic things like how to create a Python project to very complex thing. Let's say how to raise a complaint in a let's say you have to raise a request for something. Okay, there's proper documentation for everything. Now you want to create a, let's say you are stuck in a situation, you don't want to go and read hundreds of pages. Created a chatbot which, based on your user question, it will scrape the pages right randomly depending upon the context and give you the answer. This is a very big use case in a bank that I've seen. This I was also working on this project. Another use case that again, it is not a web scraping, but you work on Jira and project management tools, right? What is the status of every project and all that. You write and all that. Those things get for example, you want to fill them through AI, for example. Okay, you want to understand what are the best standards for writing any, for example, what is the company's guideline to write any user story. You will scrape that information from a web page of company. Okay, then you will give your condition and LM will generate your response. So that is also a very big use case in companies.
Okay.
A lot of I don't know every use case, but again, like you can explore for sure.
Okay, fine, got it. Thank you so much for the session, Satvik. I feel only the thing is towards the end it was going above the head. I feel
I know
otherwise it was
going,
fine.
the reason is that these sessions, GitHub Action and all that, they require separate session, right? Again, that's why I mentioned this is just a project workshop, not a concept. So what you can do later on to understand them in more detail, I have those videos present on YouTube, right? Just watch them. They will help you. Explain in complete detail there, a lot of detail. So you will understand.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Here I've just given you the steps how to do deployment. I explained you rack properly, I explained you fast API, I explained you Docker, but because of time constraint in the last part, I just had to rush in. So that was there, but yeah. But even you try to build a Docker image thing, will be good. Later on, you can watch the other video of GitHub Actions and start doing on your own. So yeah. So guys, thanks a lot. If someone has any question, please feel free to ask. Thanks again for joining. We will keep on coming with different workshops, right? So like that's what we have planned. We'll try to bring more project workshops, less concepts. Like what my understanding with this particular workshop is that I brought a lot of things which confused maybe. So next time I'll bring us little small project, right? That can be completed very easily, and we can have multiple sessions. That is a better way. That's what I have realized. But it's fine. Yeah, I mean, we all are humans. We learn with our mistakes. So thanks guys. So yeah, I'll bring about agentic AI as well. There's a video on agentic AI on YouTube channel as well. But anyways, I'll bring a session. Okay, guys. So thanks a lot. Please enjoy, and you can watch the recordings. You can send me your YouTube email ID. I'll provide you access, and please enjoy your day. Thank you. Yeah, I'll make it. I see, again, it's my realization. I didn't know that it will become too compact. So I will plan it a little bit better, that it becomes over 2 weeks, right? And one like I want my sessions to be not more than 2 hours, because 3-4 hours get a lot. So maybe we can have 3-4 sessions of 2 hours over 2 weeks. That will be a better thing. That's what I realized. Yeah, but yeah, we will do that. Yes, sure. I will bring it. I will bring it for sure. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Enjoy.